Welcome to another episode of Anti Moonboy News. I'm your host, Xenu, and yeah, we got a lot to talk about today. Chainalysis got sued, government had signal chats leaked, Saylor being a idiot, you know how it is. So we're going to be going over a lot of different stuff. And I also have some updates about my upcoming release of Darknet Market Maximalism, including a t-shirt giveaway. So let us first get to the Superchats. You can donate if you're interested at xmrchat.com/Xenu. As always, we start the show with the Superchats. The first one is from Gift, and he donates 0.0556 XMR. And he says, enjoy. Well, thank you. I will enjoy that. It is a good way to start the morning, to open up XMR chat. See a nice donation like that. So thank you very much, my friend. And I have one other donation from Anon, who donates 0.0666 XMR. And he says, hi, Xenu. Regarding poison outputs plus churning with OSPEAD and ring size of 4.2, would just sending XMR from wallet to wallet reduce the likelihood of a transaction being used by 75%? 15 hops to new wallets equals 1/4 to the 15th power, which equals 0.000000093%. Is this correct? Yeah, well, thank you for that donation. Also, thank you for spelling my name correctly. You used all lowercase letters when you spelled Xenu. I appreciate that. But yeah, for your question, with probabilities, it's really hard to give an answer to this because, depending on where you are, just by virtue of you using Monero is enough for you to get arrested, right? And as we have seen, and we are going to talk about Chainalysis later, but Chainalysis and blockchain surveillance companies like Chainalysis, they lie all the time, or they try to piece together loosely fitting metadata to make a narrative, as we saw with the Bitcoin fraud case. So it doesn't really, it's hard for me to give you a direct answer on this because there really is no direct answer. What we have seen is that virtually every single case that involves quote unquote tracing Monero is not really tracing Monero, but it's just using KYC metadata. So my recommendation is don't use KYC. I mean, that just cuts out the problem to begin with, because how can you receive the poison output if you're not using KYC, right? True, if you go on to say Haveno and you buy Monero from somebody else, you are giving that person some information, but it's far less information, right? If you use a KYC, you're just giving away so much metadata. And among that is the poison output. So if you cut out that foot in the door that a blockchain surveillance company would have, what it will do is it will give you that kind of feeling of safety. And that's why I recommend it. Now, as for your question, let's say you do withdraw Monero from a KYC exchange. So you have a poison output. The first thing I would say is you recommend, or you ask if sending Monero from wallet to wallet to reduce the likelihood is a good idea. The first thing is you don't have to send Monero from wallet to wallet. Your wallet address has nothing to do with the output that you're sending, okay? Or the spend that you're sending. So because of that, you can just send it to yourself. It's called a churn, right? So if you just send all your Monero to yourself, you are essentially doing the exact same process of sending Monero to somebody, sending Monero to a different wallet. It's literally the same thing, or at least it looks the exact same on the Block Explorer, okay? So there's really no difference. So that's the first thing I would say, is that if you're thinking of a wallet-to-wallet transfer, you're thinking of it in the wrong way. Now, as for your suggestion of 15 hops to new wallets, I mean, yeah, if you are churning, once every couple of days and you do that 15 times, yeah, there's really no way I think that can be traced back to you. I mean, you have people who will argue that Chainalysis can draw a transaction graph linking you together if you are with an EAE attack, I do not think this would hold up in court. Like, I think that's like completely ridiculous. But, if you are in, China or I don't know, some, very authoritarian country, maybe that can be used against you, right? But the thing is, like, let's say you do churn your Monero, okay? Once you churn your Monero, what happens? Well, you get two outputs, right? And you can look at xmrchain.net if you want to like look at this for yourself. But you receive two outputs once you churn your Monero. One of those outputs is real, and that is in your wallet, and the other output is a decoy. I go over this in more detail in Attacking the Poison Outputs, but essentially that's how it happens, okay? So then you have that output in your wallet, and a Chainalysis company, they can kind of mark that down and say, okay, there's a probability that this is the person because we saw the ring signature that they just sent, and it has a poison output into it. Maybe that person is associated with this with that transaction that was just sent, right? Ring signature, we see a poison output in the ring signature. It might be that person, right? So then they mark down those two outputs that come out, or those two stealth addresses, and they say, okay, it could be the person we were watching. And so then another transaction happens, and it includes, one of those stealth addresses. They then mark it off, okay, there's a chance we can examine these two stealth addresses going forward, etc. It gets very muddy very quickly, right? Like, how are they following that from point A to point B? I think it just gets too muddy. But if they are able to, like, for example, let's say you do like 5, churns, they will be able to like roughly piece that together. If you then turn around and then send it back to a KYC exchange, it is possible they will, through their, transaction graph, be able to say it's very likely that you went from this point to that point. I know this is like really hard to talk about because like it's statistics and it's all probabilities and there's hops. It's super confusing. Honestly, I'm too lazy to like do an example because I already have some videos out about this. But the thing is, like, I can't give you like a surefire way of like being perfectly private because there is no such thing as perfect privacy. And like, frankly, the metadata you're leaving behind that's like the much bigger concern. Okay. That is really what you should be focusing on limiting. Furthermore, if you are concerned about poison outputs, then I would recommend studying the co-spend heuristic, because this is really the only thing that I would say that is like attackable when it comes to ring signatures. You can also attack ring signatures with like a flooding attack, but the co-spend heuristic is really the most powerful way of deducing if somebody sent Monero. And I would study that if I were you. So if you're churning, you are getting rid of that co-spend heuristic because you're consolidating all your outputs into one unspent output. Okay, so hopefully that made a little sense. Again, this is why I just say don't use KYC, because like it gets very confusing. But anyways, hopefully that made some sense. If it didn't, I'm sorry. I probably just confused you further, didn't I? My bad. All right, so before we get to the news, I do want to give some channel updates, and we're going to be talking all about darknet market maximalism now. The manifesto is going great. Got a lot of writing done this weekend. I'm actually probably going to make it a little longer than I thought. Now, when I say long, it's probably only going to be like 10 to 12,000 words. It's something that I want people to be able to read to in like one sitting, like maybe like 2 cups of coffee worth. That is the length that I'm going for here. It's more of like the guidelines of like how I view cryptocurrency. Okay, and so I made a lot of progress with that this week. Just doing the rewrites, kind of reading it over, hating certain parts and rewriting them, that sort of thing. Now, for the t-shirts, they have been purchased. There are going to be 75 t-shirts in total. 50 of the t-shirts will be one design and 25 t-shirts will be the other. The first design will be the album art for Darknet Market Maximalism. I think it's going to be really popular. I think people are going to really like it because it looks fucking cool. I don't know how else to say it. So we got that. Not going to spoil it, but I'm excited to release it. And then I'm going to have 25 shirts in the other design, which is, I guess, is kind of the alternate album art for the upcoming manifesto. And the alternate design is a parody of the Bitcoin Genesis block. Okay, you know how the Bitcoin Genesis block says like the times, banks on the brink of second bailout, something like that. I have a parody of that for Anti Moonboy. I think people are going to really like it. It's got some Easter eggs, so that's going to be pretty cool as well. Now, for the t-shirts to build up some hype for Darknet Market Maximalism, I will be doing a t-shirt giveaway. This will be on Twitter, and it'll be one of those things where you like and retweet the tweet I'm going to make for the giveaway, and you'll be entered in for a chance to win a free t-shirt. All right, so it'll be fun. Hopefully we can get some traction on that. Like 100 retweets would be really cool. Something around that would be amazing. And the winners will receive a t-shirt. I'll do the shipping. I'll eat the cost on that. And that should be fun. Regarding the shipping, I haven't figured out how much shipping will be for Europe. I honestly was completely unaware of how much more expensive shipping costs are for Europe because I just usually don't buy internationally. So it probably will be like 20 euros or around there, or $20. I think the currencies are roughly the same at this point, or they're similar. I'll figure it out. But yeah, it probably will be a sizable amount more than if you're in America. I think shipping will be like $5. It should be pretty cheap. So that is that. And I will also be releasing prior to the giveaway. So this will probably be in like 2.5 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. I will be releasing a hype trailer for it. I might nix this idea because it might take me too long, but I want to make like a cool little video kind of premiering the album art. I have some ideas for that. So that's all next month. And the other thing, I will be on Monero Talk in like 2 weeks. I think it's April 10, I want to say. So for the people who like Monero Talk, I will be on there talking to Doug, and I'll be promoting the manifesto and the channel as well. All right, so that is that. So for our leadoff story this week, we're going to be talking about Chainalysis getting sued. I'm using The Rage as a source here. They summarized it pretty well. And Celsius Network, led by debtors, is suing Chainalysis for propping up a fraudulent $3.3 billion audit of the platform that misled customers and investors. So the article begins, Celsius Network LLC was a cryptocurrency platform that promised customers up to 18% yield on deposits, marketing its native CEL coin. The platform imploded in the cryptocurrency liquidity squeeze of 2022, revealing a massive Ponzi scheme in which Celsius founders were artificially inflating the price of CEL while dumping their personal holdings on the platform's customers. Celsius Network has since been taken over by debtors appointed by New York's bankruptcy court tasked with recovering customer and investor funds. The debtors, led by VanEck Absolute Return Advisors Corporation, a subsidiary of the investment firm VanEck Associates, are now suing the blockchain surveillance firm Chainalysis for helping Celsius prop up the value of its platform to mislead customers and investors. This adversary proceeding is about how Chainalysis knowingly and willfully fueled one of the biggest cons in cryptocurrency history, deceiving customers, propping up a sham company, and accelerating Celsius's catastrophic collapse, the complaint states. At the center of the lawsuit stands an audit of Celsius's assets under management, for which the platform cooperated with Chainalysis. According to the audit, the platform had $3.3 billion under management, billions off from what the platform actually had in assets. Rather than just alleging that Chainalysis' audit was inadequate, the plaintiffs claim that Chainalysis was effectively in on the scam. As the complaint states, Chainalysis, a supposed authority in blockchain analytics, knew the truth but willingly lent its credibility to the insiders' lies, misleading both the public and Celsius. To make their point, Celsius chronicles how the platform's fraudulent AUM, which is the assets under management, was calculated based on public and internal information. According to the complaint, Celsius head of AML, anti-money laundering, first used the software to calculate an AUM of $1.1 billion. Days later, Chainalysis co-founder Jonathan Levin appeared in a promotional video together with the Celsius founder, touting Chainalysis' ability to analyze data and enhance transparency in the crypto space. But in the video, Mashinsky, the founder of Celsius, claims that Celsius had $1.6 billion in asset management, over $400 million more than the first audit. But rather than correcting Mashinsky, Levin acknowledged the statement. It goes on. So basically, they kept just reporting inflated totals for the assets under management that weren't actually in line with what they actually had. And they were using that fraudulent figure to like pump the price. So they kept doing that, and then it goes on to say the announcement of Celsius's audit made the CEL coin skyrocket, jumping from $2 in November 2020 to over $8 in June 2021. But instead of legitimate market purchases, the close to only entity trading CEL was Celsius itself, with Celsius founders using customer funds to offload their personal token holdings in the Celsius platform. The press release, according to the complaint, was the jet fuel that the insider's fraud needed. So, in collusion with Chainalysis, Celsius was using that like quote-unquote transparency that Chainalysis was providing to just pump their bags further. It like convinced investors that everything was, okay, but they were just selling their bags because they knew it was all fraudulent. Completely corrupt. And it's insane too, because Chainalysis is buddy-buddy with everyone in government right now, and they are openly committing fraud. This reminds me back during like the housing crisis where, you had these junk bonds being given like, these like super high ratings when they were just like complete crap, right? It's all corrupt, complete garbage. And this company, Chainalysis, they're throwing people in jail. It's fucking sick. So yeah, I think the complaint is out there if you want to read it yourself. I mean, this is just par for the course. We saw this too a couple of weeks ago where Chainalysis put out like a revision of their estimate for like the illegal funds, and they were off by like $500 million. And then like that's what the revision was. Oh, it's actually $500 million more. This isn't just like, a couple $1,000s. It's like $500 million are off. And here yet again, their projections are completely off from what this company actually has. And frankly, they're probably completely fraudulent. But this is the key source the government is leaning on for their blockchain surveillance. What does that tell you? This is garbage. And what scares me is like, if they are just like making shit up as they go, I mean, someone just being tangentially associated with something like Monero is just going to get accused of committing crime, Or with Bitcoin, you're tangentially next to a coin join. Well, that means you must be a criminal. So anyways, this is the latest in the grift of the blockchain surveillance companies. It's the grift that just never ends. But here's the good news. If these companies keep getting sued, and I believe they will, because like a lot of different companies have been getting screwed over by Chainalysis. If they keep getting sued, eventually something's going to break, because they're pretty much blatantly committing fraud from what it looks like. And once one of these companies goes down, a lot of these other companies are going to go down with it. Furthermore, if Chainalysis ends up losing, it's going to look really bad on all these government politicians or the lobbyists who are promoting Chainalysis. They're all going to look really, really bad, I would assume. In these stablecoin hearings that we had with Looney Lummis, I talked about like a month ago, they're like openly talking about Chainalysis, right? So like this company that they're leading on, they keep turning up as like committing fraud. And I didn't even really talk about the Bitcoin fog case, where they were also just reaching in that case. And it's very likely that they just made shit up in that case. And you have a guy there serving time because of it. So I'm hoping Chainalysis eats total shit on this one. We shall see, though. We shall see. So it was a week full of brain-dead sound bites attempting to pump anything in this market. And more, it is looking like we've already hit the top. It's very plausible. You know, the markets right now are not too happy with the tariffs going on. It's just not a good environment. And Bitcoin is really facing its first bull run in the midst of something like this. And until the money printer goes, I don't really see Bitcoin going back up. It's possible. But like, where's the enthusiasm? They already blew their load. Right. That the strategic reserve was what Bitcoin they already held. Wow, that's amazing. So to start things off, we have Michael Saylor in his fucking AI images. He posted this image of him. There's a burning bush. He's got tablets that say "Thou shalt not sell thy Bitcoin." Like, dude, I don't even know where to begin with this one. You know, on the one hand, it's offensive. Now, I am Catholic. I don't care what Michael Saylor says, so like, I'm not like offended by this at all. But like, it's just like, I know people will get offended by this, but like, this is just, you know, digging into like the kind of, you know, I get the fact that Saylor's leaning into the fact that, you know, support of Bitcoin is like a religion. Well, let's make a joke about it. Like, but this is just not a good look. It's just falling more and more into this like very just perverted take of what peer-to-peer cash should be. And this like hoarding of Bitcoin, it can't last. Right? You know, Saylor keeps saying he's never going to sell his Bitcoin. But like, what if he does? And what if the government sells their Bitcoin? You know, once that happens, it has a cascading effect where all these other people will think, oh, Saylor just sold, now I have to sell. And eventually he probably will have to sell unless Bitcoin continues to pump much higher, which it's not doing. So anyways, he posted this AI image. There's other ones too that were even cringier. It's like a whole genre of AI images that Michael Saylor makes. Like, seriously, someone should make like an album and publish all of them. Because it's like really bad boomer humor. And I'm like 95% sure he's hired some guy from like Mumbai to do all this like Twitter stuff for him. I'm like 95% sure. Because it's like very tone deaf. Of course he posted the Studio Ghibli fucking whatever. Anyway, so Michael Saylor did this. And to expand on this, Saylor has this fucking hero complex as well. And he's saying that he might burn his Bitcoin before death for economic immortality. Dude is off his fucking rocker. But that's what he's saying. He wants to buy a bunch of Bitcoin and then he's just never going to sell it. And that's his gift to Bitcoin. This dude is going to go bankrupt. I can't wait. The fallout of Michael Saylor eating shit. Man, that's going to be endless amount of content. Oh man, I mean the alternative is like he becomes like royalty. I mean, it's really either or. He either fails or he's like Elon Musk level, and that's not going to happen because Michael Saylor has convinced himself that the world is going to run on Bitcoin. We know that is ridiculous, and that stablecoins are going to be the dominant choice from nation states. More on that in a sec. So yeah, he also said here, God, I'm not gonna play this clip. I can't fucking deal with Michael Saylor's voice right now. Plus, I'm gonna play another clip that's equally as bad. But Michael Saylor said that Bitcoin is going to $50 million. I think at this point they're just making numbers up. They're just like, oh, well, let's just say it's going to $75 million today. 300 quintillion dollars worth Bitcoin will be worth one day. I don't fucking know. This is even funnier though. So our girl Looney Lummis, she was on stage at the blockchain summit with I think Michael Saylor is with her as well and some other guy. And she has this claim that if Bitcoin is held for 20 years, pursuant to the best modeling available, we can reduce our national debt by half. What the hell is she even talking about here? Now I'm going to play this clip so we can listen to it. But she is claiming that we can reduce the national debt by half with the Bitcoin we already have. But, all right, let's play the clip and then break this down.
Bitcoin is easy to store. It is immutable. It is scarce. We can protect it in individual vaults that can be secure and hold it for 20 years. If it is held for 20 years, pursuant to the best modeling available, we can reduce our national debt by half. Now, for me,
so I don't know what models that Looney Lummis is looking at, but how are we going to be cutting down the national debt by half? Now, looking at the amount of Bitcoin we have right now, they would have to get way more Bitcoin, one. And two, Bitcoin's going to have to go much higher because the current national debt is what, like 36 trillion? I mean, that's probably going to like triple by 20 years from now. What the hell is she even talking about? To expand on this too, where are they going to get all the Bitcoin? They have to spend money to get the Bitcoin based off her freaking bill. This kind of thing, when you hear stuff like this, that is just reeking of bullshit. It's unbelievable that there are people out there who are like slurping this up as if it's like gospel. It's frankly unbelievable. So she says, yeah, we can reduce the national debt by half. And there's like 3 people clapping in the audience. It sounds like no one's there. It was like a smattering of, woo. That's all you heard. So anyways, that was the stupid things of the week. I don't know. This could be like a weekly bit where I just freaking play a clip of Saylor or Lummis and just cringe. Because it really is just endless. I mean, how much more gas do they have in the tank here? How much more can they like milk this, huh? Like if we're in it's almost April, right? Tomorrow is April, right? So if we are in September, do you think they're still going to be talking about Bitcoin's going to be worth $50 million? Especially if we have like choppiness in the market. Are they still going to be like keeping this grift on? I know people are already starting to turn on Lummis because, she's just like, but Saylor's still in good, he's still in like held in good faith. I don't know fucking how, but he is probably because he's actually buying Bitcoin. And like just today too, he bought more, he bought like $1 billion worth of Bitcoin through MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy purchased more Bitcoin. And I mean, the market's still chopping too. It's not really having that impact. It's just not interesting to people anymore. I mean, man, if we don't get money printer, Bitcoin's gonna get hurt pretty bad, and the market in general is gonna dump. So they gotta pray the money printer's coming, and I don't know if it's coming at least within the next 6 months. And if that's the case, it's gonna be a tough time to be a Bitcoiner. All right, let's move on. Stablecoins. It's all the rage now. People they're starting to get wise to the fact that this is the direction that the government is moving towards. And so this week there's been a bunch of different stablecoins that have launched. I don't even have them all in front of me. I have this one here, Wyoming to launch state-issued crypto stablecoin. That's one. We have Fidelity. They're going to launch a stablecoin. I saw Vic from Cake Wallet. He endorsed some stablecoin. I forget what it's called. And we have here WLFI, World Liberty Financial, which is Trump's investment gimmick. Meet USD1, the stablecoin your portfolio's been waiting for. Built for institutions and retail alike, backed by dollars, custodied by BitGo. No games, no gimmicks, just real stability. And we have a press release. It says World Liberty Financial Incorporated, WLFI, the developer of a pioneering DeFi protocol and governance platform inspired by President Donald J. Trump, today announced its plans to launch USD1, a stablecoin redeemable one-for-one for the US dollar. WLFI's USD1 will be 100% backed by short-term US government treasuries, US dollar deposits, and other cash equivalents. Initially, USD1 tokens will be minted on the Ethereum and Binance Smart Chain blockchains, with plans to expand to other protocols in the future. Each token is intended to maintain a value of $1 USD, fully backed by a reserve portfolio, audited regularly by a third-party accounting firm. USD1 provides what algorithmic and anonymous crypto projects cannot: access to the power of DeFi, underpinned by the credibility and safeguards of the most respected names in traditional finance. We're offering a digital dollar stablecoin that sovereign investors and major institutions can confidently integrate into their strategies for seamless, secure, cross-border transactions. They mentioned anonymous crypto projects. I think they're not talking about like privacy. They're talking about projects where you don't know who the developer is. So they're saying like, you can trust us more. You know, I talked about this in the past. You know, there was that Haven project, which failed. It's abandoned now. But that was stable coins that are private, essentially. And of course, we have Zano, or is it Zano? I don't fucking know. They got their own thing going on with their stablecoin idea or confidential transactions. The problem with those protocols, though, is why would you use those if you could just use something that is, you know, backed by a financial institution? And that's what we're going to be seeing, and we are seeing. People actually like stablecoins because it's, you know, it's based on the dollar, and it's trustworthy, right? Why would you use something by a project made by people in Russia who have no connection with the financial institutions that you support? And I'm saying this from the perspective of Normie Joe, right? Joe the mechanic. Do you think Joe the mechanic gives a shit about privacy? Probably not. He's going to just trust that the financial institutions are already private. He probably wears a MAGA hat, and you see it, oh, World Liberty Financial. I like Trump. I'm going to use this. That's what's going to happen. So yeah, we're seeing like a bunch of these stablecoins launching. Yeah, I'm guessing that most of these projects are going to make their money through yield. This is the new meta here. Stablecoins. We don't need USDCs. We're going to just make our money on our own. We'll have our freaking yield. You can make money. They're actually making money. It's a racket. And there's a lot of them that are being made right now. I don't know. Is Tether going to get buried by all of these other ones? It could be possible that Tether gets bait and switched, right? They get, you know, they're doing all this lobbying, and then you're going to have a turnaround, and these guys are going to make money off of their government-endorsed or political party-endorsed stablecoins, like Liberty Financial here. Oh, man, this stuff annoys the hell out of me. Let's move on. This week, Trump pardoned 3 Bitmex crypto exchange co-founders, as well as an ex-employee. And this was probably just another bone thrown out to the lobbyists who have been really hounding this administration. And in their defense, I'm not going to read the article, but they point out that like there was a lot of regulatory uncertainty at the time, and they were used to make an example of during that time of uncertainty because they were failing to maintain anti-money laundering and know your customer programs. But actually, like they kind of have a point. Like there really weren't many laws set in stone, and we're still kind of trying to figure that out right now, right? So yeah, I don't know. I mean, they're claiming that they're innocent. They're probably scummy as hell, and doing fractional lending and all that other stuff that all these exchanges are doing, as well as giving away information and all that fun stuff. But yeah, this does show the Trump administration is softening up some of these regulations, and I think it's pretty much 99% because of the lobbying that we are seeing, historical lobbying, really, from the cryptocurrency big shots, hot shots. Moving on, we have Tornado Cash and an update on this. So last week we talked about how the OFAC sanctions has removed the Tornado Cash from its sanctions list. Well, this week the Treasury is attempting to block a sanctions judgment. The Treasury has filed a notice to stop a Texas district court from issuing a final judgment on Tornado Cash's sanctions reversal, attempting to retain powers to list software like Tornado Cash on OFAC's SDN list, which I think is their sanctions list. Long story short, by the way, this is from The Rage and Lola Leets. Yeah, basically what they're saying is they want to be able to relist Tornado Cash in the future. And I already mentioned this, what we saw last week, it was a little victory, but it really means nothing. We have to look at the actions here, and the Treasury is actively fighting this still. And they will be fighting Roman in court, and that's in a couple weeks, right? So we're gonna have to be following this case because they're still fighting. They want to determine that Roman was committing crimes, and they really want to clamp down on any type of service that allows anonymity. So yeah, just because they removed Tornado Cash from the sanctions list doesn't really mean anything. Now, last week there was the frenzy of the open Ghibli shit. It was fun, I guess. People had fun with that. AI is really maturing. I actually thought the South Park one was really funny. I saw South Park. I saw the Muppets. That was pretty clever as well. Yeah, it seems like we are very quickly getting to the point where I'm going to be able to put myself into Lord of the Rings and all my friends. I can't wait. It's going to be hilarious. I'll have my cat be the Balrog. Shit. Anyway, so Proton has a nice little Twitter thread about, the problems with this. And, to kind of summarize, people are just uploading images of themselves and their families, and they're giving it to OpenAI. And the thing is, OpenAI is using all these images just to train their models further. So by you giving them images of yourself, you're giving them your likeliness. So you might want to think about that before you're using AI tools like that. And really, this is kind of an example of why AI will be successful, because people are just going to use it. They're not even thinking about the implications of giving information of yourself away. Like myself, I've actually started using AI for searching stuff. When I made my website, I was using AI to help me troubleshoot with Hugo. It was helping because I'm new to using Hugo, and yeah, it was very helpful. At one point what was the issue I was having? It was something where I forget what it was, but I was having trouble kind of figuring out based on the wiki I was looking at. So I just typed it into ChatGPT, and it gave me a whole fucking step 1, step 2, step 3. I just followed that, and everything worked. I understand why AI is useful. It's basically just a more powerful search engine. And on top of that, now we have it as a kind of an image generator. Is it going to go much further than that? I mean, it's accelerating. And I've now seen AI images that have tricked me now. I've actually gotten tricked recently, which is crazy. It's finally starting to happen where I was like, wait, that can't be real. And then I found out it wasn't real, and I was like, oh, shit. damn, we're at that point now. And it's going to get weird. But if you think, if you're concerned about that, I don't know what to tell you, because it's not stopping, right? It's not stopping. It's going to get weirder. It's going to get really, really weird. I guess my recommendation is just don't put your face on the internet, but most people cannot do that. So moving on, we have a tweet here that highlights a disclosure from Boltz, and Boltz is a Lightning Network service. I don't know much about it. They're often recommended though as something you want to use for Lightning, but they've admitted that if your Bitcoin transaction originates from a CoinJoin that includes an OFAC sanctioned address, it will not be included by Boltz. In fact, it will be blocked. So it says here, quote, "We are not blocking Bitcoin originating from CoinJoins, but if you are participating in a CoinJoin round with blacklisted Bybit hack addresses, then we do. If you intend to use Boltz with CoinJoin funds, it's a good idea to investigate about your coordinator a bit beforehand." Translation: we are cucks and we do not care about your privacy. I mean, this is I see these guys recommended like all the time too. Maybe I'm not reading Lightning Network correctly, because like usually if someone mentions Lightning Network, I kind of just fucking skip it because like I just know it's like fraudulent. But so I can read some more here. It says, "We block swaps originating from OFAC blacklisted addresses since quite some time already." So they've been doing this for a while. Excuse me. This is like in the middle of a conversation. He then goes on to say, "The goal is simple: avoid our users having their swap funds frozen by entities like Europe or U.S. exchanges." But precisely this happened over the past couple of days. Turns out Bybit hack related funds are moving through different Bitcoin rails and cause funds to be flagged and frozen by different regulated exchanges. To counter this, we added the Bybit blacklist in addition to the OFAC blacklist. Goes without saying that checks against these lists run locally on our server. If you compromise even a little bit, they will take a mile, okay? And this is all the information you need here about this service. They're willing to compromise on the North Koreans now. In the future, they're going to compromise on people who say slightly negative things about the government. Do not give them an inch. I'm fired up today, man. Let's go. What else we got today? We got full chain membership proof update. Yeah, so this is some good news. Finally, some like fucking good news here. Justin Berman gave an update on full chain membership proofs. He said, quote, "A full chain membership proof plus testnet is working locally using the CLI and RPC wallets. There are still some kinks to iron out, but full chain membership proofs plus is functional." Love to see it. The @Monero Twitter account tweeted that out. They still have not tweeted about OSPEAD, by the way, but they made that tweet and then they linked the video I made about full chain membership proofs. I feel like I'm getting trolled by this guy running this account at this point because he always posts this video I help produce. But yeah, so I mean, full chain membership proofs, obviously we are waiting for this. It's a huge deal. And some people think it's going to be 2 years out. I mean, I think we're going to get end of the year. There's a lot of demand for it. And the developers are pretty motivated to get it out. And so, yeah, we shall see with that going on. By the way, I didn't have this written down. But during the Monero Research Lab chat, it was pointed out that it is possible to soft fork to the OSPEAD ring signature. And this is actually being actively discussed and possibly happening because based on the simulations that are being run, it actually won't lead to hurting anonymity. Because you don't want to have different pools or anonymity pools using different types of ring signatures, but apparently it's not as much of a problem as originally thought. More on that in the future. I think it's still being actively researched, but fingers crossed we may be able to have a soft fork implementation of OSPEAD in the future. And when that happens, we will be sounding the alarm because we need as many people to, fork over to that, or really all you have to do is just update your wallet. We need as many people to update their wallet as we can. So we, improve fungibility, right? So that's not happening yet, but I will be providing updates on that in the future. So I want to give a shout out to Aaron Day for launching the Fasting for Freedom. It's a awareness campaign he's doing for Roger Ver. I think this is a good idea. And fasting is cool. I do like to fast. So basically, he is going to fast for a week, which is pretty hardcore. I don't know if I could do a whole week. And he's probably going to be shilling fucking Xano and shit. But hey, here's the important thing, though, okay? He's talking about Roger Ver. Roger Ver should not be in jail, okay? The whole thing is ridiculous. So he is essentially fasting to raise awareness for it. So I think that's a good cause. So I'm giving that a shout out, and I am fasting today. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I'll probably do another fast, maybe Thursday or something. It's hard to do multiple days in a row, man. I can do like one day pretty easily, but man, when I wake up that next morning, it's freaking hard. So it's hard to continue your day. One time though, I will say I unlocked this like second gear, and I wasn't even hungry. And I've heard that if you keep fasting for long periods of time, like eventually you just don't eat food, and you live off like electrolytes. But yeah, I don't know. Once I eat food though, then I'm like back right onto it. Anyway, okay, let's move on here. We're already spending a bunch of time. Signal Gate. So yeah, if you've been watching the news, basically a lot of the top officials in the Trump administration have a Signal chat, evidently, which I guess our country's too cheap to make their own encrypted messenger, which is like kind of hilarious because of considering how much money they make. So anyway, they're using Signal, third party, whatever. And they're using Signal, and evidently they invited a journalist in the chat accidentally, and they tweeted out all this information about the airstrike with Yemen. I don't know, man. Well, here's the good news. The good news is this is leading to a lot of people downloading Signal. So this is like a great advertising campaign for Signal and for encrypting your chats. So that's cool. The bad news is this is like completely distracting people from the fact that we just bombed another country. So yeah, I'm not thrilled with that part of it. But yeah, they're using Signal evidently in the government. So it's a pretty big endorsement for Signal. And so if you are, if you have friends and family who are like, averse to, I don't know, if they're still using SMS, this is a great way to actually onboard them. So I recommend that. Now to wrap things up, we're going to be doing a little rant on Zcash. Man, I mean, this past week, so basically with the looming Binance decision, it seems apparent to me that a lot of people are doing what they can to talk about Zcash because, again, if Binance happens to delist Zcash, it is going to be a brutal awakening for Zcash. So anyway, there's a lot of engagement farming on Twitter. A lot of it not even really worth talking about. I mean, this guy Vlad, I got into it with him like last year, and then, over the next couple months, he seemed rehabilitated. So I've been friendly with him again, but this engagement farming BS, man. It's littered with lies, and like I hate that shit. And a guy like him, really what a guy like him is he is a cryptocurrency prostitute. And what I mean by that is he is shilling every single project out there because he wants to get donations in every single project. So he's talking about all this crap that no one uses. And then for whatever reason, he's fixated on Monero, which by transactions is actually being used. And you can tell he's not putting out these rants about Zcash. Why? Because if you put out rants on Zcash, how are they going to defend themselves? Oh, well, we have these white papers. Yeah, but no one uses your cryptocurrency. It's like Monero is actually being used. And we know this from all the transaction data we have. And if you disagree with me, find me a market that uses both Monero and Zcash that shows Zcash crushing Monero's usage. Go ahead. Find that for me, because it doesn't exist. And I have countless examples of the reverse, okay? Countless examples. Basically every single one, okay? Every single website that accepts both Monero and Zcash, Monero is being used more. So it's just like a bunch of noise. But what I really wanted to talk about, though, with Zcash is if they do get delisted. Because Monero has already weathered the storm. Like, you could still delist Monero from Kraken in the United States, but there's really not much more after that. Like, what other KYC exchanges can you throw onto that? Zcash has not faced that. Okay, Zcash, they have not had anywhere close to what Monero has had in terms of regulatory uncertainty. And here's really where it gets incredibly ironic. It's that if Zcash actually wants to gain respect, the best way is for it to get delisted. Delistings prove that a cryptocurrency is scary. It's true. And if Zcash begins to get delisted everywhere, it actually would embolden their case. The problem, though, is Zcash does not want to get delisted everywhere because that's what their culture is like. Their culture is getting on their hands and knees and groveling, hoping to stay on that KYC exchange. And for me, and the perspective of others like me, we look at that as pathetic. Take that L of the price, you take the L, and watch the price dump. Because you know what you gain from that? You gain respect. But instead, we've seen the complete opposite. And pretty much all of the Zcash influencer accounts are like mad at Binance. They're like, oh, how could you? Give them the middle finger and just say, yeah, just delist us. We don't care. Ignore them. That's the advice I would give to Zcash. But that's not what I'm seeing. And if they start to get delisted, I'm telling you, people will start to respect Zcash more. That's the irony here. It's almost like by the price of it plummeting, people will like at least notice and recognize that, hey, maybe this is actually a powerful tool that people are scared of. And that scariness, that's what's going to get people to use it, funnily enough. But I mean, yeah, they're so far behind Monero in that network effect, even with all of their money that they've gotten from investors and these from those the investment from those Facebook twins, you know who I'm talking about. What has that done for Zcash? What has their willingness to work with KYC exchanges, their willingness to work with institutional investment, how has that impacted Zcash? Well, it means that people don't trust them. Ironically enough, because with privacy, it's the opposite of something like a stablecoin. With stablecoins, people want that association with institutions. They want that endorsement. With privacy, the skeptic does not want that endorsement. They want nothing to do with the institutions. And why? Look at literally any United States company that has, any sort of connection with the internet or computer software. They are all compromised. So when you have this type of collaborative spirit where you're working with institutions and stuff, you are scaring the crap out of people who are seeking privacy. And until Zcash fixes that, they're not going to be used. And they're probably never going to fix that. Because these people, they're convinced with themselves that people on the darknet read white papers. They don't give a shit. They gravitate to what's being used. They gravitate to the culture. And Monero has established that culture, that grassroots cypherpunk culture that is unwilling to bend the knee. And that's why Monero is used. So anyway, that's the show. If you like the content, xmrchat.com/Xenu. You could shoot me a donation. You can also donate to me directly. My Donation address will be in the description box. I almost forgot. I also have an RSS feed for my show. I probably should have mentioned that earlier. Yeah, I made an RSS feed. So if you don't want to follow YouTube, you can just subscribe to that RSS feed directly. All right. So anyways, thanks for the support, everybody. We got some great stuff upcoming soon that I'm really excited to release. And yeah, have a great week.